And we are back for another TWC show. We got a very special guest on this episode, returning guest, like probably on like one of the first 10 episodes I did back in the day.
That was a while ago.
2019.
Yep.
It's been a minute. Mr. Paul Lazenby, how are we doing today?
Really good, man. How about you guys?
I'm good. I'm glad we brought you over here to Arvy's studio, Rain City Studios.
Arvy's got a nice place, dude. Yeah. I like this house.
Thank you. And you've only seen one room so far. It's like a little maze, but we're glad to have you. It's been a minute. We got lots to catch up on. You were part of Smashing Machine. You're part of Death Stalker. Is it Death Stalker?
Death Stalker, yes.
Death Stalker. I looked it up before we started this. It looked really cool. You don't have to tell us more about it. You're still doing the stunt stuff, but we're going to go over a lot of the stuff you've done because you have a background in professional wrestling. You have a background in MMA. You were a part of a bunch of stuff in Japan. I feel like, we can talk about this and let people know exactly who this mystery man is sitting on the couch with us.
Absolutely, man.
Arvy, you tell me, what's one thing you want to know that you want to know about Paulie? Because even you're like, who is this guy? And I was like, remember that time we took the wrestlers out and he put in a good word for us?
Yeah, no, thank you for that, right? Yeah. But I just want to know how you still look this good at this age.
He's like bigger than both of us, right? Like a little embarrassed.
It's all calcified scar tissue, and it's just like a fortuitous shape that it ended up in. You just get beat up so bad the skin doesn't change anymore.
But well, obviously you did some MMA as well too.
Yes.
So I just wanted to know how that experience was like actually being. I guess it was the octagon at that time, or was it?
No, it was a ring actually, because this was going way back. Like to provide some backstory. I broke into professional wrestling in 1991 at the Hart Dungeon. So Lance Storm and Chris Jericho were my instructors, and then Dr. Luther, now known as Luther the Butler, he became like my wrestling Yoda. We just clicked immediately, and then we just became friends. And he decided to help me through the business. So Luther and Rick Titan, the late Rick Bogner, they were the first two guys in our Calgary crew to go over to Japan and become stars. And like Luther was a huge star right off the bat. Like as soon as he had his first match, and he was a huge, massive. So he was going over all the time. And then Lance and Chris went over a bit later. And I kept hearing about those guys. Like they would come back and they'd have magazines and they'd tell me stories about Japan. I was just fascinated. So I always wanted to go and see Japan. And I had a couple of near misses. I was talking to Victor Quinones about going over at one point. It didn't work out. Luther tried to get me over as his tag team partner in FMW. Didn't work out. So it was bugging me. I got to see Japan. And then fast forward to 1996, I'm working for Malcolm Monroe at ICW, now known as XICW, still running. Shout out to AT Huck, who's still running it. Best referee I ever worked for. And I saw this lady named Phyllis Lee, who I had seen managing Dan Severn on a UFC tape.
Okay.
And I was a huge fan. Like Luther used to bring me back shoot fighting tapes all the time. So even before the UFC existed, I was watching Japanese mixed martial arts tapes. And so I knew all the guys in Pancrase, which at the time was the #1 group in the world. Above UFC, Pride didn't exist. Like they were the major league of mixed martial arts. And so Phyllis had just obtained a deal to get foreign fighters for Japan. And she said, well, you should apply. Are you a fighter? And I lied and said, well, yeah. And so she gave me an application form. I filled it out with complete lies, complete BS, because I had never had any kind of a combat sport match. I didn't even wrestle as a child. Like no martial arts, no boxing, no kickboxing.
And what kind of questions did they ask you?
What are you trained in? So I'm like, I was in the Army for a while. So I'm like, Armed Forces Martial Arts Champion. And black belt in jiu-jitsu, because everybody was claiming that back then, because jiu-jitsu was just starting to become cool. And and she was really fascinated by the fact that I was this Canadian guy who knew the Pancrase fighters, because nobody knew about Pancrase over here. So I sent it off, and it was like, to draw an equivalent, it would be like somebody who's never fought, putting in an application to fight UFC. Go straight to the UFC, with never having had a mixed martial arts fight. It's like, they're not going to take me. And they'd never taken a Canadian before. So it's like, I'm not going to get in at all, much less be the first Canadian. So a month later, I got in. She called me up. She's like, yeah, you're going to fight the #3 ranked guy in the world who had recently beaten UFC champion Oleg Taktarov. And before that, he had gone the distance with Vitaly Klitschko in a kickboxing match. And this is going to be my first opponent.
Yeah.
So.
And you're the first ever Canadian signed by them.
Yes. Oh. So, I was thinking, I'm going to die, but I'm going to see Japan first. So I finally get to see Japan, but I never thought it would be going over as a real fighter. So that was how I got my feet wet in mixed martial arts, is by joining the #1 group in the world and fighting, the #3 guy. And then a month later, they invited me to come back and live at their dojo and train with them. And I fought the world champion right after I got back to do that. So. And
I'm sure we can look it up, but how'd you do in those fights?
Back then it was 1 15-minute round. It was no breaks.
Okay.
So the first guy that I fought, his name was Yanagisawa. He was my favorite guy in Pancras because he was around my size.
And he was number 3?
Yes, he was number 3 in the world. And so we went to about 12 and a half minutes. And I remember like they had a point system. And so he beat me 5 points to nothing. And at the end of it, I'm like, oh. And then, so we're just laying there on the canvas and he looks at me and goes, you're coming back. And I thought he was just being nice to me. Like, dude, have you seen the scoreboard? Like, you smashed me, dude. Like, what?
Yeah.
But one thing I love about Japan is that over here in North America, it doesn't matter that you fought hard if you lost. In Japan, it doesn't matter that you lost if you fought hard.
Okay.
And I fought my ass off just trying to stay alive. So they liked that. So they invited me to come back, fight the reigning world champion. This guy's beaten Boss Bruton, beaten Ken Shamrock, beaten Frank Shamrock, and I got to fight this guy, my second fight ever. And then live at their dojo for 2 months and train with them. So that was how I got my feet wet, is by getting smashed by world-class guys.
How was the second fight?
It actually went better than I expected. It only lasted about 5 minutes. He tore my bicep with an Americana, top wrist lock, but I almost knocked him out.
Okay.
And I reunited with him 23 years after that fight, and he brought it up. He said, you almost got me with that. Like,
I love it how people do that after the fact. They won't admit it at the time. Then years go by, like,
So could you watch these fights anywhere?
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, watch me get smashed because I knew nothing back then. But yeah, it was really cool to hear that from him because it was like my second fight ever, 30 days after my first fight ever. He was the reigning world champion of the number 1 group in the world, but he said, you made me throw my game plan away. Like I had a whole way that I was going to toy with you, and I had a certain
That's
submission.
quite the compliment, then, eh?
It was
From the world champion, yeah.
I made Funaki throw his game plan away and just do whatever. Like he said, I just had to take whatever I could get because I all of a sudden I had to treat you like a threat. So that was really cool to hear.
How did the boys back home think about that? Like, what did Luther guys think about that when they realized you made it to Japan, but it wasn't wrestling?
They're all looking at each other like, what the hell is Lazenby doing? Because they knew that, like, they went to Japan, they knew these guys were killers. Man, like, Lazenby's gonna die.
Yeah,
so
because there's a difference with wrestling and actual mixed martial arts, and it's like, you didn't go there for wrestling. You went to, and you lied to get in there. And everything.
Was there any fear when you went into the cage or in the ring?
Terrified.
Were you? Okay.
Are you kidding? I was breaking it like on the inside. Right? I managed to hide it okay.
Yeah.
But I was so broke. Like I was living in my buddy Herman Hochevar's auto shop.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
I would have been homeless if it weren't for Herman. He put a roof over my head and food in my mouth. But I couldn't even afford a mouth guard or a groin protector. So I fought my first 3 fights without him. I fought the world champion with no protection.
So what did you do for training prior to that? Like, how did you get immune to that? Like, because obviously you went in there a little bit prepped. Like, okay, I got to fight. So.
Yeah, I got to find someone. Well, I was very lucky. There was a guy named Wayne Erdman, and he is a judo legend in Canada. He fought on the '76 Olympic team, and he comes from the days when judo had a lot more techniques that were legal than they are now.
Yeah.
So you could do a lot more. It was a lot more like hardcore old style jiu-jitsu. So I went to Wayne and I just said, dude, I have no money, but I got this offer to fight in Japan. All I can do is promise you I'll pay you out of my fight purse when I come back. And he didn't even know who I was, but he just being such a great guy, he trusted me. And so I did 4 or 5 one-hour sessions with Wayne. I was a competitive strongman and powerlifter at the time. So he said, okay, we're going to use your strength. I'm going to teach you basics on the ground of just how to survive and avoid being submitted. And then he just hopefully smash a guy or whatever. So that's what he did. And Wayne helped me to get prepped. And then I had 2 other guys that I was training in this very bastardized style of Japanese jiu-jitsu, Dave Lawton and Pseudo Kraya. And those guys, they had no interest in sporting combat. They were like Paul Vunak and Jeet Kune Do, where it was just straight street fighting applicable, like just dirty fighting techniques about fighting in the street. That's the first style I trained in with those guys. And they helped me a little bit too. Like Pseudo would get up at 4:30 in the morning and come over to Herman's auto shop so that he could help me train before work, and we'd grapple on the cold concrete floor.
So that was your training ground?
That was my training, yeah.
That's crazy. And then you went and did it. Let me ask you this, because what I'm hearing so far a lot is like, there was a lot of you just betting on yourself, being like, okay, well, I'll come back and I'll pay you with my fighting purse, or I don't know how to do any of this stuff, but I'm going to lie and say I know how to. Like, where does that come? Because that's something that not everybody has. They don't have that confidence to just go out there and bet on themselves. Like, I can even tell you stories about myself where, like, I should have done something. And I don't have many of them anymore because I learned. But, like, I was like, oh, I should have jumped on that opportunity when that opportunity. I should have just lied and said I could, because then I could have, like, been doing something else. But what made you have that confidence? Was it the fact that the position you were in life, you're like, it's do or die, or, like, what's...
It was a combination of things. One was that growing up, I was always terrified of having a regular life. Like, like if somebody just has a regular job and go 9 to 5 and they go home and they have a regular family, that's awesome. If that's the life that you want, by all means.
There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah,
nothing wrong with that at all. It's just not for me. I always wanted My favorite superhero when I was a kid wasn't Spider-Man or the Hulk or anything. I love the Hulk, but it was this guy called Doc Savage.
Okay.
And Doc Savage was like if you took the brains of Leonardo da Vinci and Albert Einstein and Indiana Jones and you put them in the body of Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
And he was this rich guy and he was a big jack dude and he went all around the world with this crazy crew of guys that he used to travel with and they all had these crazy adventures all over the world. I wanted that. I wanted to do everything. So that combined with, growing up with an old man that kept telling me that I wasn't worth anything. My old man wasn't a good guy.
Yeah.
But it was a combination of those things where I wanted this crazy life, and then he had convinced me I was a piece of trash. But then I thought, okay, well, if I'm a piece of trash, I've got nothing to lose. If I go to Japan and die, well, I was destined for nothing anyway. I'm already at the bottom. I could only go up. So why don't I take this chance?
Yeah.
So every time a crazy chance came in front of me, I would take it because I felt like I had nothing to lose.
That is crazy. No, that makes sense. So like it is a part of your experiences that like push you to do those type of things. Let me take it back for 1 second because we jumped right into the MMA stuff. Actually, before that, was Pancreas where Minoru Suzuki was where you first met him?
Yes.
How did that go down?
I got a Suzuki story, man.
Yeah, let's go to Suzuki and then we'll get back to the wrestling.
Yeah. So like I said, I knew all the Pancreas fighters when I got to the dojo. So, and it was like the dojo wasn't a fancy swanky training facility. It was a corrugated metal shack on the outskirts of Yokohama. Like they could have buried me out back of that place and nobody would have known I was gone. It was like I was gone and I was theirs for 2 months. But Suzuki, I knew all about Suzuki. I knew who he was. And anybody who's familiar with Suzuki, like the guy looks evil.
Yeah, let's just take a pause really quickly because I think if there's anyone younger watching this, like your perception of Suzuki is the old man that's been in New Japan and in AEW wearing the towel on his head and the crazy haircut. But like, how much of a badass was he back in the day?
Okay, they call him Murder Grandpa now.
Yeah, they call him Murder Grandpa.
Yeah, so he was Murder Nephew back then. And he was even more sinister. Like now there's a little bit of like an avuncular,
he has some fun with it.
Yeah, a little bit of fun. That wasn't there before.
Yeah.
He was just straight, like he really enjoyed hurting people. And he was very, very good at it.
Yeah.
So one day they decided the training was killing me. Like I barely survived until I got in proper shape about 3 weeks in. So one day they said, okay, just self-supervised training today. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I'll just hit the heavy bag so I look like I'm doing something and go back and get some more sleep. And Suzuki comes over and taps me on the shoulder. And his English, it's basic now, it's more basic then. And he just motioned to me, motioned to himself, and motioned to the ring with this inquisitive look on his face. And I realized everybody in the dojo is watching right now. And it's like, okay, they brought me over at their own expense. Their junior fighters are washing my clothes and cooking my food. He wants to kick the tires on this new investment and see if it can work anything. And I knew it was going to happen, and it did. He tortured me for 30 minutes straight. And I don't use the word torture lightly. It was the most painful training experience I ever had in my life.
So this 30 minutes will be easy for you. We're not torturing you. Okay, sweet. This is great. But no, that's insane. Like, because like there's a legend and a myth around Suzuki now, but I do feel like there might be a generation that doesn't know how much of a badass he was, and then he was an MMA fighter more so before he was a wrestler. Yes,
he's one of the. I mean, a lot of people aren't familiar with catch wrestling. Catch wrestling is a meaner, more damaging version of what people see as jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
like it's very sinister, and I've never met. Chris Franco is the only catch wrestler I've met who is an elite level catch wrestler, but not a legitimate sadist. Okay. All my other friends who are elite level catch wrestlers, like Judo Gene LaBelle, Josh Barnett, Suzuki, they're all sadists. They enjoy hurting people, and that's an element of catch wrestling. Suzuki was very good at it. And so it's no mistake that he's the guy that took the Pancreas belt off of Ken Shamrock.
That's awesome. Did you ever work with Ken Shamrock?
No. I interviewed him for my book when we were Bouncers Part 2, but I have never actually worked with him. I'd like to sometime.
Okay. Did you bounce first or did you get into wrestling first?
I bounced first and then during. Like it's a stopgap job that you can use while you're trying to fund your wrestling habit or your MMA habit. So I started bouncing in 1989. That's I had my first job.
So you wrote books called Famous Bouncers and you...
When We Were Bouncers.
When We Were Bouncers, my bad. Famous Bouncers is Instagram. You guys should follow him. But When We Were Bouncers, tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, so it was just an idea I had because, I've got all these famous friends in wrestling. I've got these famous friends in mixed martial arts and friends in strongman and powerlifting. And then, of course, I've been an actor and a stuntman for 25 years. So it occurred to me a while back that bouncers have these crazy stories. I've got a bunch of them myself. But you never really see a movie or a TV show or anything that profiles them. And then I realized why. It's because nobody likes bouncers. I don't know. And generally, when you have...
We had a teacher that was a bouncer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Like, he was our teacher, and then you'd go out on a weekend, and like he was like
Well,
bounce outside
different
the club.
times we were obviously underage, but
He's like, you guys
Just
aren't
don't talk
allowed
about
in
it at
here. We're
school
like,
tomorrow,
hey, you. We didn't think we'd
kind of
see
looked
her.
like you a little bit though. But
He was bald. Yeah. He was big too. Yeah, I remember that guy. But yeah, go on. So
Well, I was thinking, okay, well, how do I get these stories out to people and get them to listen? And then I realized, well, I've got all these friends, so somebody might not like bouncers, but are you a fan of Samoa Joe or Chris Jericho? Are you a fan of Boss Rutan if you like MMA?
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Theo Rossi if you like Sons of Anarchy? I know all these guys, and they all used to be bouncers. So I collected all these stories from these famous people and put them into my books, and now I'm also working in developing a new podcast.
that's awesome. I'm looking forward to the podcast. But do you have a bouncer story you can share with us? Like something that's like, or even one that someone shared that you like, that one was a good one. Like that's.
I like this one because just because it shows the other side of celebrity and it kind of humanizes celebrities. It's MVP.
Yeah.
My good friend of mine, MVP from the Hurt Syndicate, and he was bouncing in Miami. Actually, him and Kimbo Slice were bouncing together on the door at one point.
oh, so they work together.
Yeah. But there was one point where Mike Tyson had just gotten out of jail, and at the time, he was kind of vilified. A lot of people had a bad opinion of Mike. So he was experiencing the dark side of celebrity. And he came in, and MVP saw him and a guy that MVP knew to be a cocaine dealer going into the bathroom together. Okay, I can do this math, right? Okay, so he goes into the bathroom, and Tyson's personal bodyguard is standing just inside the door, just as Tyson and the cocaine dealer go together in the stall. And that's against the rules of the club. Two guys in the stall. You can't do it for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So MVP turns to the bodyguard and goes, can you please tell Mike he can't be in there? And the guy goes, you tell him. So now MVP's on the horns of a dilemma, right? He's like, okay, this is going to go one of two ways. He's either going to say okay, or he's going to want to fight. And how do I deal with this? And then he thought, all right, well, if he says okay, then great. And if he doesn't, then I'll be a legend for being the guy who got knocked out by Mike Tyson. Either way, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
So he knocks on the door opens, and the guys are standing there, and he says, guys, I'm really sorry, but you can't be in there like that. And he said there was a moment of silence, and then he said, Tyson could not have been more polite and apologetic. He was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect you or your club. That's on me, man. I should have checked to see if this is okay. I'm really sorry. We'll get out of here right away. And he was taken aback, like he didn't expect this. And then he thought, well, hang on a second. There's like a super VIP section upstairs. Why didn't he send him up there? Because all bets are off up there. We let people do whatever they want. So he got one of his guys. He said, you take Mike upstairs. You take care of him. Whatever he wants up there, let him do whatever he wants. So MVP goes up there half hour later, and Tyson's got his shirt off. He's sweating, jaws grinding a little bit. All kinds of craziness is going on there. And Tyson is talking to somebody. He sees MVP come up. He breaks off the conversation. He comes over, gives him a big hug, pulls out a big wad of bills, gives him like $400 or $500. He goes, I just want you to have this, and I want to thank you for treating me like a human being.
Yeah.
And that really hit me, man, because it's like you see all these big celebrities and stuff, and you don't realize, they lead a great life. They've got a lot of things I'd like to have, but they've also, a lot of them have burdens that you wouldn't want to carry. So it's always good to consider that when you run into one of your heroes is like, just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
For sure.
You got anything?
Well, have you ever had to knock anyone out?
We only got 30 minutes. A lot. Yeah. I don't know what the statute of limitations on all this stuff is, but I'm really old, so this is all 20-year-old podcast. It's probably okay. Yeah,
I'm sure people probably pissed you off. And
it's funny because I've had 14 professional fights, and I think I've got, I forget how many TKOs, but I've got more knockouts than decision wins.
Okay.
But they're all technical knockouts. Two of them are verbal submissions in kickboxing matches, actually. But I've never completely rendered somebody unconscious in the ring, and it always used to bother me. Whereas in street fights, it's like almost every fight. It's just like I've knocked so many guys out in the street. It's like it's ironic to me that 14 professional fights, I couldn't start somebody in the ring.
So when you're knocking someone out, is there any fear of yours thinking like, okay, I might kill this person if I hit him? And like, would that bother you and bug you as a human, or were you kind of like overthinking it, like that's not my problem?
It's a risk every time, I feel like.
It is.
You have to, go ahead.
Well, you also, I will always try to favor grappling techniques and chokeout. I love chokeouts because they're so controlled. You can completely render somebody not a threat, and they're going to wake up and their neck's a little red. It's not a problem. But I wouldn't hit somebody unless they really put themselves in that position and forced me to do it, to do something that violent. But yeah, I have a friend who was a bouncer, and he knocked somebody out, and the guy died. His head hit the pavement, and he died. So that was always consideration. And there were times, I was younger and it might have been a particularly stressful night or the fifth or sixth stressful night in a row. And I just, I snapped and knocked somebody out and they did hit the ground. And thank goodness they were always ended up being okay. But yeah, there were times that I took that risk and shouldn't have done. And it's never an advisable thing unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah. Especially when you're dealing with drunk people, like they're not in the right mind anyways, Steven. Like they will pester you and they will jab it. And you're just like, if you've had 6 bad days, I don't know. Let's get back to, because I do want to talk about the acting and I want to talk about the stunt career and everything, but I just feel like I must. Like, what were your earliest memories of wrestling? Like, why did you become a wrestling fan?
Oh man, it was. Let's see. I would say that I started a buddy of mine, Mark Weicker. He was a big wrestling fan, and so I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling in my house, but he used to love it. So I remember my favorite tag team. My first favorite tag team was Indian J Youngblood and Rick Steamboat.
Yeah.
And their feud with Sergeant Slaughter and Private Kernodle.
Yeah.
And that was the first feud and the first team where I really got behind. And then afterward, I got into Soul Patrol. Rocky Johnson, Tony Atlas. So those were my guys. And so that's what hooked me, is those 2 tag teams hooked me on wrestling.
So you were really into tag team wrestling?
Yeah, I love tag teams.
So you really wanted to tag team with Luther in Japan?
Dude, I'm all over it. Looking back, I look at the guy that he ended up giving the job to, and I would have been taking all the bumps.
Do you have a ranking of your favorite top 5? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you might have more, but like, let's say, could you rank like top 5 of your favorite tag teams of all time?
Well, Road Warriors number 1.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, Road Warriors are absolutely the top, but it's difficult, man, because there's so many tag teams that I like. Yeah. I think one that doesn't get enough credit is Dan Crawford and Doug Furness.
Oh, yeah.
The Can-Am Express.
They were in WWE in 97, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go back to the match of the year, the Wrestling Observer match of the year for 1992, is Dan Crawford, Doug Furness against Tsuyoshi Kikuchi and Kenta Kobashi for the All-Asian Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
Dude, that match is incredible. It's one of my 2 favorite wrestling matches of all time.
I need to watch it. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, and Dan Crawford he used to come into the bar that I bounced at on Electra Avenue in Calgary, and it was like he was a problem because he was such a nice guy that he would always be giving me Jack and Cokes. And I
can be that guy sometimes too. Just have one with us. Don't worry about it.
But he was like, he'd get upset if I didn't take them, and I'd feel bad because he'd be hurt. But I'm like, dude, I can't be drunker than everybody here. This is a Calgary bar full of cowboys, and I'm still going to be drunker than everybody. I can't do this. So the plant beside me became an alcoholic. But Dan was such a great ring general. And Doug Furness was one of my powerlifting heroes, because my first competitive sport was powerlifting.
Yeah.
Doug Furness had like a 40-inch vertical jump. He could do the full splits. He looked like a superhero. He had this chiseled muscular physique. And the guy squatted 986 pounds, benched 600 pounds, and deadlifted 826 pounds, all in the early 90s and the late 80s when nobody was doing that.
Yeah. So let me break it down. So you were bouncing, I'm guessing, tell me if I'm putting this in the right order. Bouncing, got into powerlifting and bodybuilding, then got into wrestling, and the wrestling journey took you to MMA, and then eventually we got into stuntmen and acting work.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that the right order?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Okay. Back to wrestling really quickly then. Let me ask you this. So when you got into wrestling, and we've heard the stories a bunch of times, whether it's you got seen at the gym or you got seen at a club you were bouncing at, who gave you the opportunity of being like, hey, you should be a wrestler, or did you go seek it out?
I sought it out, but it wasn't without some really crucial help.
Okay.
I was working at a place called Consumers Distributing, which was kind of like an early version of Amazon, a physical version of Amazon, where they had all the goods on display and then these catalogs, and you write the 6-digit number of the product you wanted, and then you bring the list to the counter, and then some guy would pick it out of the warehouse and bring it up. So I was managing this place. Hated it. Hated my life. Hated it. And I was on break one day. I'm flipping through Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. There was an ad for the Hart family, the Hart Dungeon camp.
Yeah.
I'm like, and this is like 1990.
Yeah.
So I was like, you didn't know how to get into wrestling back then.
And I think that, which is a big difference today, is everyone knows how.
Yeah.
And I always think there's a lot more people trying to become wrestlers now than there was 15, 20, 25 years ago. Because I'm like,
a lot of things you
no
think
one
about
knew
how
how to
people
start.
got into certain things and how they did certain things.
If you want to be, there's probably so many great musicians that never made it because there's no way to there was no formula of how do you become the famous musician.
You can't make an Instagram reel, right?
Yeah,
Just
how do you become the famous wrestler? How do you get that attention? So going back to, you saw that ad.
And it was the tail end of the kayfabe era, so it was still a closed shop. I mean, they were still, I still remember the day where at the Hart camp where I got my wising up speech.
Yeah.
This is what it's really about, because it was still, we're still kind of pretending it's real. So I didn't have the money for it. And a high school friend of mine named Carlos Leal he funded it. He's just like, and he wasn't a super rich guy. He had a better job than I did, but he's like, okay, dude, I'll fund it. And not only did he give me the front cash and give me the tuition to go to Calgary from Ontario where I lived.
Yeah.
He drove me 2,000 miles to Calgary, and then he hung out for the Stampede, and he drove himself 2,000 miles back. So without Carlos Leal, I'm not sitting here today.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Are you still close to him? You talk to him?
We haven't talked in a long time. Like, we keep following because he doesn't have a social media presence.
Yeah.
I'm bad for following out, but I always shout him out. Carlos, if you're out there, get in touch because I can't find you online, dude. We got to talk.
But no, that is something that you've done a lot already so far in the whatever 20 minutes we've been doing this. Is you're really good at giving people the flowers and shouting.
How many people you mentioned along the way, right?
Yeah, you remember everyone along the way, which it's a good attribute to have. Did you do was there any situations where you did any extra work at WWF or anything at in your time wrestling?
No.
Oh, so you don't have any of those crazy stories?
No, man. I never worked for WWE unless you count in 2019. Oh, no, sorry, one of the Marine movies. I worked with The Miz.
Yeah.
One of the Marine movies.
That was filmed here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember everyone's like, The Miz is in town.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
He's a great dude. He's so easy.
I met him one time. He was great. Yeah.
I met him with Wayne Brady, actually.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at Joey's. Everyone was like going up to Wayne Brady. And I walked up, I'm like, Miz, could I get a picture, man?
All right. Good.
Well, somebody finally.
He was probably feeling like a redheaded stepchild until you showed up and made his day.
He's great.
Yeah, and then, of course, I worked on the main event, that Netflix WWE co-production. But like through stunts and stuff, I don't think wrestling-wise, I never really cracked above a certain level. Like I toured all of South Africa.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, with Ish Maharaj Promotions.
Yeah.
And I did some work in England. Actually, I did some work in England at the Horseshoe Tavern where Steven Regal got to start. William Regal got to start. In Blackpool. So I got to do some great stuff all over the world.
Did you work in Calgary Stampede? Or
I worked in Calgary I lived in Calgary for a year after I broke into the business. And then I returned to Ontario.
Did you get to wrestle?
Yeah. I did a lot of work in and around Calgary.
No, but did you work at Stampede Wrestling? Like that?
Did you get to wrestle?
Not the OG one, the starting, the one that came back with like Bruce and stuff. Like,
yeah, unfortunately, I fell into a little pocket of time. It was 1991, so Stampede Wrestling had shut down, and then there was CNWA.
Okay.
And CNWA had just closed when I got there, so it was actually a really depressed time in Calgary wrestling.
Yeah.
So I was lucky to get the matches I got, but it was all on smaller independent.
Because it is weird, when you for the general public around the world, like you say wrestling in Canada, they just think of Calgary. And I'm not saying there isn't wrestling in Vancouver and there isn't any in Ontario. There is, but like people just like the heart of wrestling in Canada is Calgary because of the hearts and everything.
Yeah.
But like it's cool that you got to like get the start there and like starting with Jericho and Lance Storm. Like, is it insane to see like how much they grew? Like, did you see that in them when you first were with them?
Absolutely, dude. And it's funny because it's funny to say they taught me when they hadn't even finished their own rookie year.
Yeah.
Like they were less than a year in the business and they were teaching me, but they were so good, especially Lance technically. Like Lance was running the class and then Jericho was his assistant. And between the two of them, Jericho was so ahead of the curve in the charisma department and the showmanship department, and Lance was so good at all the technical stuff that between the two of them, they didn't know enough to teach me psychology at the time, but everything else, like I couldn't have asked for a better education.
That's awesome. Hey, yo, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic, Justin here. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our other shows on the Wrestling Classic YouTube channel, like the TWC Show where me and Arvy talk everything wrestling, updates, new things, old things. We just talk about it all. Mount Rushmore's got you guys pretty mad. And if you haven't already, check out Just Yapping. We talk about a little bit more things about our own personalities outside of wrestling. A biker kicked my car. Arvy's doesn't take his kids to Disneyland. I don't know why. Check out Just Yapping. Check out the TWC Show. And also, if you haven't already, I'm in Arvy's garage, Rain City Toys garage. If you need toys, check out raincitytoys.com. Follow him on TikTok. Follow him on Instagram. He's trying to catch up to me. I don't think he's going to, but at least try to help him, like get him there a little bit. If you guys want loose toys, there's loose toys. If you guys want old school toys, new toys, AEW, WCW, Legends, all that stuff, CDs, magazines, raincitytoys.com. Like, comment, subscribe, engage with the YouTube channel. The more you guys engage, the bigger guests I get for casual conversations. And if you guys have been enjoying that series, you have to comment, you have to like, you gotta share it. Wrestling Classic YouTube channel, subscribe, like, comment, keep doing the thing, enjoy the rest of the show. Dig it! So you went from wrestling, you started doing the MMA stuff. How did we get into acting? Like, when did the stunt stuff start? And then when was it like, okay, this wrestling chapter might be closed? What's next?
What made you think like, I want to be a stuntman?
Well, it's always a job that I thought would have been cool, but I never really set my sights on it. Yeah. But I got lucky because it was because of Terry Taylor.
Okay.
WCW came through town.
Yeah.
It was 2001, I believe. And at the time, I was tag teaming with Akiva Moss, known as Abaddon. We were in Dr. Luther's Army of Darkness. And I was still trying to make it. I'm 32 years old at the time, so I'm a little long in the tooth. I'm like, this is going to have to happen soon. It's going to happen. So WCW comes through town. I'm bouncing at a nightclub called Old Bar, and who do I see but Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah.
He's with Michael, the guy from Ready to Rumble, the guy from Scream.
No, I know who you're talking about, but you said the wrong name, and now I'm stuck on that.
Okay, so yeah.
But he follows me. Oh my god, he's just married to Courtney Cox. That guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he won the world title in
David
WCW.
Arquette.
David Arquette. You said Michael, and I couldn't think of the name David for the life of me. David's a great guy. I met David. David's dope. But
I've been hitting the head a lot, so I'm going to I'm surprised.
You said Michael, and then I was just lost. I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about, and his name's not Michael, and I can't think of the name right now.
David Arquette. But those guys are at the bar, so I'm like,
this is
Jeff
Vancouver?
Jarrett. Yeah, right in Vancouver, right downtown
Obar,
Vancouver.
I heard Obar, so I was like, I'm just making sure.
Oh, so this would have been like 2000.
2001, yeah.
Oh, 2001. Oh, okay.
WCW was doing a Vancouver show. So this is the night before, and or so 2 nights before. So I went up and I introduced myself, and he found out I was a wrestler, and Akiva was bouncing at the same bar, so we met him, and I said, Jeff, you need anything? I got you. So I just took care of him all night. So the next night, which was I think the night before the show, all the WCW guys show in, and they're all asking for me. Jared told them all, like, this Paul guy, go to this bar, tell Paul, he'll hook you over whatever. So I'm like, now I'm not even bouncing that night. I'm just like concierge to all these dudes. But Jarrett pulls me aside and he goes, okay, you and your buddy Akiva, get your, this is 2000, so we're talking VHS tapes, but he goes, get your demo tape. If you want to meet me at the arena at 3:00 tomorrow afternoon, I will introduce you to the booker before the show starts. And God bless him, he did. He didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
So he took us backstage and he introduced us to Terry Taylor. We give him the tapes. And like I said, I'm 32 at the time. So Taylor looks at us both and he asks Akiva, how old are you? And Akiva says 25. And he asked me, and I go, 30. And he said, you should lie about your age. I'm like, I just did. And it's like, okay. And that was the moment I realized the wrestling dream is not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do I do now? Like I've been spending all my time focusing on this goal and this. What do I do? So I started with a guy named Rocket Randy Tyler. We started a wrestling school called WrestlePlex. Okay. And I became the head instructor on that.
Out here in Vancouver?
Yes, right in the middle of Vancouver at the Savard Boxing Club. We're teaching people in a boxing ring, which is not sprung for wrestling. So it's very uncomfortable. But so I did some promo on a local news show to hype the school. And at the same time, I'm training at a place called Olympic Gym, one of the best gyms ever in Vancouver. Unfortunately, it's not around anymore. And a stunt coordinator named James Bamford, we call him Bam Bam, he was at the same gym, and he was about to take over a show called Los Luchadores. It was a children's show about Mexican pro wrestler superheroes. Bam Bam knew nothing about wrestling. So he asked around the gym, like, are there any wrestlers here? I might use a technical advisor, and a couple of girls aimed at me. They'd seen the promo on the news. So me and Bam Bam got to talking, and he decided, okay, I'm gonna help Lazenby. And even though he didn't end up taking that show, he brought me with him, and he mentored me into film. So
that's awesome.
That was my foot in the door.
That's good. Did you what was the heartbreak like when you realized the wrestling thing wasn't going to happen for you initially?
Well, it was more fear. Like even.
Because you worked years towards it, now you got to this point, and you're like, oh, like that maybe is a sign that Jeff said that, and I already lied about my age. Now what?
Yeah, exactly. And that was where like, oh no, wrestling's not going to happen. But I had already taken time off wrestling to go to Japan and fight. Like I was open to other stuff. I wasn't 100% married to just wrestling. I just wanted to do something awesome with my life.
Yeah.
And so it could have been fighting. If I ended up being better at fighting right off the bat, I might have stayed with fighting. But it's like it was more a panic. Like, I have to find something else awesome because I can't go to a real job. I can't do that.
Going full circle back to like you just did not want to live a regular life.
Exactly.
And then you also had something to prove that you weren't worthless.
Yes.
According to your dad.
Yes.
So it's a full circle situation that like
my dad and everybody at school.
Yeah, like you had to keep it going. What was the first big gig? Like what was the first big opportunity where you're like, oh, like I can do this part full-time, partially full-time, like this is a thing?
Well, I started doing a lot of background work.
Yeah.
But also I was working on a wire team, like when they hoist performers up on wires.
Okay.
That's very often just somebody pulling a rope on the other end of a pulley. And I was on a wire team to start. Like Bam Bam put me on that. But he was constantly campaigning.
So you paid your dues.
Yeah. So that was pretty steady work. And then I was getting occasional stunt gigs here and there. Actually, my first stunt job, I got the whole side of my head caved in.
Oh, wow.
So permanent vision damage. So I was out for like 8 or 9 months.
How did that happen?
A certain actor who was known to be enthusiastic with the stuntmen, we'll put it this way.
Okay. He
flew Boss Rutan by coincidence, because me and Boss were friends from my time in Pancras. And he flew Boss up to Vancouver to live there for 7 months and be his personal trainer.
Yeah.
So he's training with Boss, learning how to fight for real and boss knows how to fight for real. And then he would come to set and beat the hell out of the stuntman. Yeah. So he decided that day he was really going to lay it in, and just with the choreography of the scene, I was selling his punch and I was coming back for the next punch, and he leaned in, and so my head's going this way and it's more than doubling the power of his shot, and I'm wide open and defenseless, and he just completely shattered all of this and did permanent vision damage. So that was my welcome into the stunt business. But thankfully I healed up from that.
Yeah.
And
Were you discouraged after that?
I was just concerned that people were going to think it was my fault and then say, well, look, you gave this guy one stunt day and he got crucially injured, so he doesn't belong in this business. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, they realized what it was. By that point, this guy had hurt so many stunt guys that they realized it was his fault, not mine.
No,
so he had a rep.
He had a huge rep. Yeah, he's not fondly remembered in Vancouver even 25 years later.
Can we get his name?
Off the air for legal reasons. I'm 100% sure. That's why I didn't even ask. Yeah. I've been doing this long enough, Arvy, know. But let me.
If you've seen the Iron Claw, you've seen him.
Oh, okay.
I'll put that one.
Let me talk about. I want to ask you this thing. So, when did your two worlds first cross? Like, when was the first time you ended up doing stunt work for something when wrestling and acting hit the crossroads?
Man, I'm trying to think of the first wrestling themed thing I did in stunts.
Like whether it was wrestling themed or was the first time you did stunt work for a wrestler? Because like you've done stunt work for Stone Cold Steve Austin, you've done stunt work for Bill Goldberg. More names I probably don't even know because you've only told us a few so far. But like,
man, I'm trying to think. It seems like every time there is a pro wrestling themed show or episode or movie or something, I'll get the call. But it's funny because there wasn't a lot of pro wrestling stuff in the early part of my career. MMA was becoming really hot.
It was. The 2000s was the decade of MMA being like, that's when everyone started being like, well, wrestling's fake. We watch the real stuff. Like, that was that era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And up until this point, like the only guys who were really well trained in MMA were Lance Gibson and Chris Franco, my trainer. But they only like dipped their toe in the water every once in a while. Their full-time gig was fighting and training. So I was like the MMA guy.
Yeah.
So I was, in fact, Bam Bam, James Bamford, he was coordinating a lot of shows like Stargate, Atlantis, and shows like that. And he was starting to incorporate groundwork into fighting, which wasn't done in film fighting at the time.
It was always the punches and the kicks and the theatrics of it all.
And they would say, oh, when the fight goes to the ground, it's over because it's boring. And I'm like, well, no, there's all this crazy jiu-jitsu and catch wrestling stuff you can do on the ground. It looks great, and pro wrestling stuff. And so Bam Bam was the guy in Vancouver. Is like, yeah, let's start using this in shows like Jeremiah, Stargate Atlantis, things like that. So then we started seeing more ground action. And so I was kind of the guy for that, where I was a reference for doing all that stuff for him.
Yeah.
But the first wrestling thing, it was well on in my career, but I would say, and it was actually with Miz. It was an episode of Supernatural.
Okay, with the Miz.
10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And Supernatural did a purely pro wrestling themed episode. And so me and an actor named Alex Ponovic, we had a wrestling match on that show. And that might have been the first full wrestling match I had on a TV show or movie.
That's awesome. It is crazy how that happened, right? In that era, where like nobody would have, like, if you asked someone in the 90s, that would be very rare. But like by like mid 2000s, I was like, oh, that's a triangle choke. That's this. That's like, you know what I mean? Like everybody all of a sudden knew the moves and were professionals.
They were just getting acquainted with it. Like mid 2000s, right when they were starting, like, what is that crazy thing right there? Like I had Bam Bam put a rolling omoplata arm lock on a fight in Jeremiah. Like people were like, what is that? Oh my God. You know, people's minds
there was other ways to like beat people up than just like punching them and kicking them and getting too angry that you're not winning, pulling on a knife or something. But
that was kind of pro wrestling because that was stuff that I had picked up in Japan from the there's a lot of blurry, the line is very blurry between shooting and working in Japan.
Yeah.
So those guys considered themselves to be pro wrestlers who fought for real. Like in Pancras, we actually fought in a pro wrestling ring under pro wrestling rules. It was just real fights. So those guys like Sakuraba especially, he's got a lot of crazy technical submission stuff that you can do for display, but you probably can't get on somebody unless they're way better than them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those kind of show techniques.
Was Pancras like, obviously you said it was bigger before UFC and everything, and like I'm just based. My brother, we would tape UFC fights in the early like 96, 97 UFC days, and like there was no weight class, there was no like heavyweights. It was like this big fat guy fighting this skinny strong fighter guy. Like, was that the same with Pancras, or did they already have like weight classes and stuff like that?
Nope, they would subsequently have weight classes like they do today.
Yeah,
now it's very
there's way less rules. I remember the old UFC, like you could do a lot of things you can't do anymore.
Yeah, in Pancras there were more rules than in most places in the world.
Yeah.
At that time in mixed martial arts, when you took an MMA fight, you would have to ask where is it and what are the rules, because the rules would vary so widely.
Yeah.
In Japan, it would be different rules from Brazil, different rules from the States, different rules from some other place. So in Japan, they consider themselves to be real pro wrestlers. Like they look at pro wrestling the way we would look at, say, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
If you see BJJ in a movie, you know that fight's not real, but those are techniques that could be used in a real fight.
Yeah.
And that's how they look at pro wrestling. Okay. It's like, okay, I'm watching a pro wrestling match. It's not a real fight, but those are techniques. They're catch wrestling techniques that could be used in a real fight. And these guys know how to fight for real. So Pancrase was an evolution of that, where it's like, we want to go back to the days when wrestling was real.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And so it's a wrestling ring, open hands to the head, punches to the body, no weight classes, one straight time limit. Like I said, my fight was 15 minutes straight, no breaks, and a wrestling ring. And it was a pro wrestling organization that had real fights in it.
Is that organization still around?
It is, but now they're fighting in a cage under unified rules.
Yeah. They have to move with the times and do what was working for the rest of the world a little bit, right? Hey, yo, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic, Justin here, and I'm here to tell you guys about one of wrestling's best kept secrets for merchandise, officially licensed WWE and NXT merchandise, 500level.com. Check them out, 500level.com. Get officially licensed merchandise for the WWE, NXT, UFC, MLB, NBA, NHL. They got it all. If you join the Partnership Point program as a loyal customer, you will get discounts down the road. You can find merchandise for some of your favorite NXT stars that you can't find anywhere else. Javon Evans, Kalani Jordan, Carmen Petrovic, Lola Vice, Trick Williams. They got merchandise for everybody on NXT. You got OG shirts like this NWO shirt. You got big stars like the Queen Charlotte Flair. You get new designs like this new design for Lita. You get designs I helped out with, like this design for Dakota Kai, which I was a part of creating when Dakota didn't have those many shirts going on. You can get, like I said, NXT superstars like Carmen Petrovic and many others. You can get OGs like the none other than the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. You can get CM Punk, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, anybody you want. Sami Zayn's 500level.com. Check them out. You can even get the bad guy, Razor Ramon. You get your OG, like I said, logo shirts, NWO, WWF, Survivor Series, Raw's War. 500level.com. Check them out. Join the partnership program. Some of the best quality shirts, premium quality, regular quality. Some of the best product you will find out there, officially licensed WWE, NXT merchandise, and OG Legend stuff. 500level.com. Check them out. Keep doing the thing. We'll see you all later. Ooh, yeah. Who was the first big wrestler you did stunt work for then?
That would have been, oh man, who did I double first? It was probably Steve Austin, yeah. He was the first guy that I doubled in.
What was the first thing you did? What was it?
The Stranger.
The Stranger, okay.
It was a string of low budget. We laugh about it, but like, none of those movies are going to win any awards at all.
Yeah. Because he did a lot of movies, but people don't know about a lot of them.
Yeah, well, see, Steve's a smart guy, so he was thinking, okay, I want to see if I want to get into this movie thing, like full time. So he decided.
And what year was this?
This was 2010, I think.
Okay, so after he's gone. After he's gone, yeah.
Yeah, I first worked with him in 2008. He did a movie up here called Damage, and I didn't double him. That was a guy named Kevin Rushton.
Okay.
I actually fought Steve, and he accidentally broke my nose.
Oh, wow.
It made TMZ and everything.
Oh, that's great.
No fault to his. Like, that just happens sometimes in film fights.
Yeah.
But then after that, people were looking at the guy who was doubling him and looking at me, and they're like, why did they fly that guy in when Lazenby looks just like him with hair? Because I had hair back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then he came back for the next movie, The Stranger, and the stunt coordinator brought me in and had me look at the producers, and they said, they shaved my head. They're like, damn, it's like a dead-on match.
Yeah.
It's funny because like Steve thought I was ribbing him when he saw me walking around, because both of us have this thing where our right arm doesn't extend all the way. So he thought I was ribbing him. Like, he's like, dude, you don't have to look like me when the cameras aren't rolling. I can't help it. I'm gimpy in this arm too.
Yeah. Did he know about your wrestling background? Did you guys ever talk about that? I mean, eventually, but like, how long did it take till you realized, like, oh, like you?
It wasn't too long. I mean, we just would have occasional conversations. We didn't really get to be what I would call friends until the next movie after that.
Okay.
He was always very cool.
Yeah.
But we just, I mean, he's the star of the movie, so he had so many people to talk to. I didn't want to monopolize his time, so we would just talk whenever we needed to. And then we just found we had a lot of solid common ground. So
you guys still keep in touch?
All the time. Yeah. We talk all the time.
You guys ever FaceTime Jericho? Is it like
what's that?
You guys ever FaceTime Jericho or something?
What do I want to talk to Jericho for?
Let me ask you.
I talk to Jericho a lot too.
But what other wrestlers have you stunt doubled for? Like there was Austin, and we mentioned Goldberg, but who else?
Goldberg as well.
Yeah, almost Batista. I'm so upset about that.
Yeah.
It was right after COVID ended, and I was working on a show called Turner and Hooch, and I was like locked in. I had this acting role in that show, and then I got offered the job in Toronto to double Batista on C. And the dates would have worked out, but they were just so paranoid about like maybe there's going to be an embargo on flights again where you're not allowed to fly. And if he's in Toronto, you're in the middle of this episode. So they made it worth my while to stay here. So I didn't double Batista, but that would have been awesome. I doubled Goldberg on an episode of The Flash.
Okay.
And that whole day consisted of sitting around drinking coffee and constantly going, Bill, you want me to come in now? And he's like, no, I'm good. Because he likes doing his own action. So like, the whole day was relaxing for me, and he was out there busting ass. And and then there was, this is funny, man. Well, not funny. It was just weird how it turned out. I had a role as one of the heavies of John Cena's father on Peacemaker season.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, his dad's like an Aryan Nations prison gang leader.
Yeah. I watched it. Yeah,
it's
a good show.
I know I don't look like an Aryan Nations prison gang member, but I made it work. And so I was like his right-hand man. But while I was there, Spencer Thomas, who's the regular stunt double for John Cena. Guy's an absolute stud. And so he comes in and he said, one day he laughs and he goes, Lazenby, you should be praying I get hurt. I said, why? He goes, well, you're the only guy here that could fill in for me. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
Well, damn, 2 hours later, he blows his shoulder.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was like, oh, my God, dude.
Spoke it into existence, right?
So, But, being a real professional, he realized we're on a tight schedule. Like, we need to get our days. And he's still cradling his injured arm. And it's a great honor. He went over to the stunt coordinator and said, dude, you got to get Lazenby in there. Because with the wardrobe on, I actually looked a great deal like Cena. Like if it's a shirtless scene, you got to use Spencer because he looks like this is not going to work. But in the Peacemaker outfit, it was actually a good match. Yeah. So so they used me for a day. And,
well, that's true. You'd be in the full Peacemaker outfit. You wouldn't know. Yeah. You have to be really close up to the face.
Kind of like similar physique to you in person, or is he taller?
Cena's got a better physique than me. But we've got a similar structure. I've got a very similar jawline. So when I had especially when I had the helmet on, like, people were blown away by like, how did we get that close a match at like no notice whatsoever? Yeah, because there's no matching Spencer. Spencer's like he is the guy. Look like But it was very, very close. Everybody was very happy with it.
That is pretty interesting, right? Like for most part, like the stunts have to really look like the people that they're portraying. Like I remember Cardillo from Steve, like Cardillo weight belts got like the Rock stunt doubles, like wrestling. I'm like, this guy looks like the Rock. That's crazy. Like, it's not. How many people have you met that you like confused for the wrong person? Like, has that ever happened? Like,
well, it's funny because it was almost scary because on the Smashing Machine, we all saw the shape the Rock got. Yeah. But then his stunt double, Tanawai Reed, who's a very good friend.
That's a guy. That's him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Like, Tanawai, like, screw you, dude. You're not allowed to be full-blooded Samoan and look like that. Okay, you should have a little bit of flesh.
Because he looks just like the Rock.
I know. Like Samoans should all look like Samoa Joe. Yeah. Like it's just so at least you're a giant, solid, masculine-looking dude who's got all kinds of power. And you're blocky. But he gets abs too. Yeah. That's not fair.
He literally looks like he's like the same. The fitness, the
Tanawai gets everything, and it's not fair. Screw you, Tanawai.
Well, he made a career out of it being Dwayne Stunt double. He was a great. We did like a giveaway or something years ago. But I remember I was like, yo, this guy looks just like the Rock. That's crazy. So I'm like, stunt doubles really just look like the people most of the time. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. Like,
well, it's funny because before I doubled Austin, he did The Condemned in Australia.
Yeah.
And there's a legendary K1 kickboxer named Sam Greco.
Yeah.
And he's one of my hero kickboxers, but Sam, and I say this with due respect because I love Sam Greco, but he's got a jacked physique like Steve, but he's got a very prominent nose, like Sam the American Eagle from the Muppet Show. He's got So it's funny, but he's a double, but you can't shoot him in profile because it'll be obvious it's not Steve.
That's hilarious. Let me ask you. Let's talk about Death Stalker. Like, what is this movie? It's coming out soon, or is it out already?
It's out already. It dropped on October 10th.
Yeah.
It's a limited theatrical release for the next month.
Yeah.
And after that, then it will be going to streaming.
Okay.
So
it's in theaters right now?
It is in
limited theaters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
look for it.
Yeah. Check online and you can get just Death Stalker show air dates or screening dates, and it'll come up. It is based on an old series from 1983.
Okay. Because when I looked it up, the 1983 series popped up first.
Yes.
Then it said Death Stalker 2025. And I'm like, well, that's probably the one.
Yeah. But this is a franchise that when Conan the Barbarian came out in 1982.
Yeah. And I remember Conan because I looked at the picture and like, kind of looks like that.
Yeah. And it was a huge hit. So it was like, that was the thing. Sword and sorcery movies became the big thing.
Xena came out, all these things started happening.
Yeah, exactly. So all these lower budget studios like, we're going to make our version of Conan and ride this gravy train. And so Roger Corman, who is one of the most legendary, low budget movie producers ever.
Yeah.
He launched the career of Jack Nicholson, Francis Ford Coppola. There's legends of the business that started with him.
Yeah.
So he was notorious for being able to do great things with no money. And so he decided, okay, well, my version, Beastmaster came out and Sword and the Sorcerer and Krull came out. And he's like, my version is going to be Deathstalker.
Yeah.
So he made this movie in Argentina and it did really well. So he ended up making 4 Deathstalker movies.
Oh, wow.
And over time,
But for Argentinian people.
Well, it was made in Argentina, but it was released all over the world.
Okay.
Yeah, it was shot in English.
Oh, okay.
So it got this kind of cult following that has followed right up until the present day. Well, one of those fans used to work at, I believe it was Tower Video in California, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And so they would always be running movies. Kids are not going to remember this, but in video stores, they would always be playing a movie. And he always used to play Deathstalker movies.
Okay.
And that was Slash from Guns N' Roses.
Okay, yeah.
So
oh, wow.
Yeah. So all the stars kind of aligned where Steven Kostanski, who is an absolute genius, he's one of my favorite creative minds in all the business. He did Psycho Gorman, he did The Void, he did Frankie Frico, all these weird, crazy, eclectic movies.
Okay.
And they put all these, this list of IPs in front of them. They said, these are all up to be optioned right now. Do you want to do a continuation of any of these ideas, these previously made movie franchises? And he's a Deathstalker fan too. So he's like, I'm going to put my own spin on Deathstalker. And Slash knew about the project, so now he's an executive producer, and him and Bear McCreary doing the music, and it all kind of came together. So Steven's idea was, I want Daniel Bernhardt from Mortal Kombat, from Bloodsport 2, from John Wick. Daniel Bernhardt. And Daniel's a Deathstalker fan. So he's like, oh, I get to have long hair and swing a sword and do Taekwondo moves all over the place. Like, yeah, count me in. Well, me and Daniel go way back. And for like 10 years, Daniel, every time he'd come to town, we'd have dinner, and he'd always say the same thing. Paul, I got to find a really good role for you in something that I'm doing. So one day he calls me, he's like, Paul, I found it. And I was like, what is it? He goes, this guy Joe Tack in Deathstalker, we got to get you this role.
Yeah.
But it almost came close to not happening because I had just agreed to do Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
And it looked like there might be a conflict between the two. And when I talked to Steven about it, he gave me some of the best advice I've ever had. He said, Paul, I know the Smashing Machine is very close to your heart. You used to fight in Japan. I know it's a much bigger movie, but trust me, if you need to choose, it's got to be Deathstalker.
Yeah.
And looking back, he was entirely right. I'm so glad I took that role, man. It's so much fun. Kostanski is an absolute genius. It's funny. It's super gory. If you don't like gore, don't watch it. It's massively gory, but in a hilarious way. The whole cast is solid. Patton Oswalt, Christina Warholo, Laurie Field, and of course Daniel himself.
Yeah. If you want like a old school Deathstalker fan, is it still something that you think people will really enjoy and get into?
Absolutely. You don't have to know anything about
There's
the Deathstalker.
no origin story. This is fresh, brand new start.
And also, the original Deathstalker franchise, it was made in the 80s and it's kind of dated. There are certain situations between women and men that it's uncomfortable to watch these days. That element you're not going to have to worry about in the new Deathstalker, while it still retains all the stuff that made it great.
Yeah. So what did you get to do for Smashing Machine?
I was playing a Dutch MMA fighter named Hans Nijman. He was like a super OG of MMA. He was one of the old school shoot fighters before the UFC existed. He was over there fighting for Rings Fighting Network and stuff like that. He was a friend of Boss Rutan's.
Okay.
So yeah, they offered me that role, and I was conflicted because I've got so much respect for Hans Nijman. I've seen a bunch of his fights, but also, and I say this with all the respect in the world, he was never in danger of getting a Hugo Boss modeling contract. They call him the Bulldog because he looks like one. Due respect. I don't. But it's what made you think of him and think of me? I'll take it, but hey, come on. I'm gorgeous. But anyway.
As a stuntman, do you have to remember any lines ever?
Well, I'm an actor too. I've acted on over 130 projects. So I mean, and that came from pro wrestling. I got very good at memorizing dialogue. That's one of the things I was particularly good at in wrestling, almost off the jump, was promos. Yeah. So I always liked that performance aspect of it. And around 2007, I decided, in addition to being a stuntman, I wanted to take being an actor really seriously. So I do have very dialogue heavy scenes.
And did you go to, I guess, acting school or do any of that stuff, or was it just natural ability?
I trained with a lot of people. I trained with Peter DeLuise. I trained with Kira Zagorski and Patrick Sabongi. They were great trainers. I've trained with quite a few acting coaches, but those are the ones that I would say were my primary influences.
But it's similar to you kind of just put yourself in the position where you had to learn. Yes. I'll figure this out. One thing going full circle, and I'm going to figure this out along the way. I'll have to lie a little bit here and there and be I've done some stuff, even if I might have, but I'll figure it out. And it seems like you did that again. And then let's have a little fun before we end things. I'll ask you a couple of like quick questions. First things first, in terms of acting, what is something you think somebody will find and be surprised that they caught you in? And we'll put like an Easter egg out there, like if they watch it again, they're like, oh, there he is.
You're going to find me as a recurring character in a Hallmark series.
Oh, really?
Which I still...
And on the Hallmark movies, like those like love movies and the Christmas movies.
Their number one series by a long shot is this series called When Calls the Heart.
Yeah.
They're massively popular series.
Yeah.
And Peter DeLuise is one of their producers. He's a good friend of mine. He's the first guy I ever trained acting with. And he wanted to bring a different element into it because they're like 15 seasons deep or something. And so they wanted to. He said, "We want you to be like a heavy. Like we're gonna bring in a criminal mastermind, and you're gonna be the heavy that works with them as well." And so Julius Spurlock, who's a Pinkerton agent, and you'll see me in a few episodes of that. It still feels weird to say I'm in a Hallmark series.
Yeah, it's hilarious because those movies have a little, and shows and movies and stuff have a little bit of a reputation.
Isn't it the same theme? The movies, guy
meets girl, girl meets girl. There's some sort of dilemma.
Comes back
it's
home,
like Bollywood movies that we grew up
town,
back in the 90s. Like,
chooses career or girl, and then chooses a girl and gets married. Right?
Hallmark movies like that, the shows like that. Like so, it's like it's funny that you'd be in stuff like that. Like that's a fun thing to look for now. Yeah. Three generations, we'll say. I mean, 3 different eras. We got wrestling, MMA, acting, stuntman. You've given flowers to people and everything already, whether it was Jeff Jarrett, Stone Cold producers, etc., Boss Rudin. If you would say, this might take you a little bit of thinking, something that was told to you from each era from someone specific that you think you took with you for the rest of your life in wrestling, in MMA, and then in acting and stuntman stuff.
In wrestling, I think coming from both Lance and from Luther, it was the tail end of the old school era where it was acknowledged that it was going to take you a while to get good.
Yeah.
And I was encouraged not to be in too much of a rush to get to a point where I feel like, okay, I've arrived. I'm now officially a wrestler.
Yeah.
And to keep that mindset of always like you're constantly looking for. There are so many layers to this, so many different ways to build a match and build psychology and perform and be a wrestler that it's going to take a long time to learn it all. Be okay with that and just sit back and absorb it and just talk to people and absorb as much knowledge as you can and never be in too much of a rush to get to a point where it's like, okay, and I see that a lot now, unfortunately. It's like, okay, well, now I've learned how to bump and I learned how to
I'm ready to go.
I am now a wrestler. I don't have to try anymore. Like, it's one thing when I met Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
I had to pull him aside and tell him, I said, dude, I see the work. And I see the fact that when you got to AEW, you didn't see that as the finish line. You saw that as the starting line.
Yeah.
This is where the work starts. And he kept working on his physique and on his promo ability and his in-ring work. And you see it. You see him continue to develop. And so that attitude being instilled in me in wrestling was very important.
Before we go to MMA and acting, I got to ask you, because you did say that was something you were very proud of early on too. And I like to ask this to people that have been in the business for a minute, because the tides have kind of changed. We're getting back to like, okay, now people are getting back to understand like you need to know how to talk. You need to have some sort of like character. Like wrestling's more than just the moves and the matches and great matches. Like how important was it for you to like practice promos and know promos, being able to talk?
Oh, very important.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, this was still on the tail end of the time where we're pretending we are that guy.
Yeah.
There's still an era of secrecy, which means I got to be able to carry this off. I got to be able to convince people that I'm this guy. And there's not the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we're all in this together attitude that sometimes you see in wrestling. And I don't want to crap all over modern wrestling. A lot
wrestling,
of things
everything evolves.
Yeah, and a lot of things in wrestling are better than they were in my day.
Everybody's a lot more athletic.
Yes, absolutely. But it was very important. Is that you need to carry yourself a certain way. And it was just at the tail end of, or just after the era of guys like Bill Watts, where you actually had to know how to fight, because if you lost a bar fight, you lost your job, because wrestlers are supposed to be the toughest guys around. Yeah.
You couldn't embarrass the business. And I never looked at it from that perspective that you just put there. Like part of it is like you had to carry that character through all the time. So you had to learn how to be that character. Like you might have to learn how to be that actor, be that person. Where like, I guess nowadays it's like, oh, I don't need to know how to talk or like really get into a character, because I don't need to be this person. Like they see me on TV and they already know I'm not this person in real life. I never looked at it from that perspective. And I think that might be part of why it is kind of like that sometimes now, where like people will come up in the indies and they'll never learn how to talk. And then they get an opportunity on TV and they still don't want to talk. And it's like you never fully, in my opinion, only in my opinion, get over without knowing how to talk and connect with the fans that way just as much as you connect with them in the ring. MMA, let's go back to MMA. What's one thing that you have, some advice you've been given in the MMA kickboxing world that stuck with you that you still carry with you today? Because everything, like even the stuff you said in wrestling about like realize that you're always learning, you're never going to be ready. It's a job that you like. This is the starting line. Like you can take that in acting, you can take that in MMA. So what did you carry into MMA that stuck with you?
Well, something I got in MMA.
Yeah.
It was actually advice that it's not good advice for everybody, but it was good advice for me. And it was when I finally met Judo Gene LaBelle, who's one of my heroes.
Yeah.
And he's a legend in everything I ever did. He won the first ever televised MMA match way back in the day. It's like 1948 American Judo champion. Gene was Gene's a legend in MMA. He's a legend as a stuntman and an actor. And he's a legend in pro wrestling. So the first thing I did when I started making money in film was I flew to LA and I met Gene. And he said, so, okay, so you're a worker and a shooter. You're a wrestler and you're a real fighter. He said, okay, yeah. Don't focus too much on real fighting. The money is in the fake fights. You lose all your fake fights and make more money. And for guys who are really good at fighting today, no, there is money to be made in fighting. But for me, that was good advice. Like fighting for me was always going to be a dilettante in fighting. Yeah. My path ended up being in fake fights. And so thank you, Gene, for the good advice.
And then now in the acting world, was something you've learned from someone in this world that was like, that you stuck with you today and you're like, that was really good advice?
That was Alex Ponovic, the guy I told you about before. Yeah. It's the reason I'm not just a stuntman, because for the first 7 or 8 years of my career, I would always say to people, they say, you ever want to get into acting? Like, I'm not an actor, I'm a stuntman. I do stunts, that's what I do. And one day I said it to Alex and he went, why? And I didn't have an answer for him. And he said, Paul, I've seen your wrestling promos. Every once in a while a stuntman does get, like, have to do a couple of lines and stuff. I've seen you. Like, you've got potential to actually be an actor with a capital A. It's a whole second career you could have. And Alex is a great actor. He's very successful. So, like, hearing that from him, so he's like, yeah, why would you not want this whole second career? And I'm like, you're right. So that's when I started taking it really seriously. And now I've had, like, I think 135 acting credits. I'm Death Stalker right now. And so that was very, very solid advice.
It is crazy that happens. I remember when I started doing interviews, and like, I'm not an interviewer. And someone's like, why aren't you? And I was like, I don't know. I just never thought of myself as one. I guess, but like you can do it. You've done it, and they're good. And I'm like, are they? Like, oh, I guess I'm an interviewer. Like,
if somebody asked me why I'm not in the NBA, I've got a solid answer. But when you ask a question, you don't have an answer for it. It's like, it's because I'm putting limits on myself.
Yeah, I'm thinking I can't be this or I can't be that person. I'm not as good as this person, so it doesn't make sense. But it's like, no, but you can carve your own lane, and you can do what you'll find your spot. So that's cool.
So Japan, you obviously were out there for a while. So what was your favorite part of Japan? Because I hear a lot that people love Japan and love going back to it, and there's something about it. So what was your favorite part about Japan, and do you still enjoy going back to Japan?
Would you say it's your favorite place?
Yes. Yeah, it's absolutely my favorite destination. I was telling you guys in the car beforehand, like I had this plan starting in 2017 where it's like, okay, I'm going to go back to Japan. I haven't been there in 20 years. And then I'm going to go to all these other countries that I haven't been to that I want to go. And going back to Japan, I'm like, nope, it's Japan every year. I love this country so much. But it's a cultural thing. It's a bunch of things. Like, it's so different. I like going to I've been to Africa a few times and stuff, and I just got this taste for going to places where they're very different from home. And Japan's different, but also it's their cultural default setting. Here, unfortunately, North America, there's a lot of there's a lot of great people in North America, but the overall setting seems to be, I deserve everything. I'm the most important person in this room, and I get what I want, or this all has to stop. I'm the most important thing. Whereas in Japan, the default setting seems to be politeness and consideration for people around you. Everything's clean. People are very polite, even if they don't like you. They'll culturally, they're taught, just have a base level of politeness with everybody and consider the people around you. So I love that. Like I walk out of the plane in Japan and my shoulders drop and I breathe. I just let out a big breath.
So you're saying there's no ego there? Well, the egos aren't as big.
Yeah, there's a lot less ego and a lot less. I matter more than anybody else.
Level of entitlement out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and I hear that all the time. That's very clean. I haven't been, but everyone's like, it's very clean.
Spotless, dude.
I made it like it's all my wrestling bucket list, and I know I wish I went like 10 years ago. I'm not saying maybe they'll peaks and valleys wrestling, but I do want to go to a Wrestle Kingdom. I feel like that's something I need to do.
I'm going to the next one, man.
Are you? I need to do like at some point. Like I'm like, I need to go to a WWE show in the Garden, and I need to go to a Wrestle Kingdom. Most of other things on my bucket list I've done, or like they weren't even on the bucket list, and I did them, and I was like, oh, that's added to it. But like I need to go to a WWE show in the Garden, and I need to go to a Wrestle Kingdom. Like that has to happen at some point in my life. Like, so.
Yeah, dude, why haven't you done it yet, man? You're Justin Dillon, man. You're the wrestling classic. You haven't been to Wrestle King? I've been to like 4 of them already.
I know.
That's not right.
And I was a wrestling classic peak Okada Omega match and stuff. But let me say, I do want to wrap it up because this is way longer than 30 minutes. Talking about Japanese wrestling really quickly, 2 questions. First things first, do you have a favorite Japanese wrestling match? Because it is a different style. It is about the fighting spirit. It is taken more like, as much as like, and it's a cultural thing. In America, we want to be, in America, North America, Canada, whatever, like we want to be entertained. We want stories, we want characters, like we want to be in the drama. That's why reality TV and Days of Our Lives have been on TV forever. But like in Japan, they take it seriously. It's a sport just like every other sport. And I just always find when people are fans of Japanese wrestling, they just have a different appreciation for wrestling.
Yeah.
So like, what is your favorite Japanese wrestling match?
I've got 2, and they're my 2 favorite wrestling matches of all time, and they're neck and neck. And one of them is the match I told you about before, which is Kobashi and Kikuchi against Dan Crawford and Doug Furness.
Yeah.
The other one is the match that introduced me to mixed martial arts, and it's the first tape that Dr. Luther gave me that had what you would call MMA on it.
Yeah.
The first time I actually saw elite level fighters who were punching and kicking and throwing knees and fighting on the ground all in the same fight.
Yeah.
So, and that was an old UWFI, which was like a shoot style pro wrestling. It looked like a real fight. And it was Gary Albright, the original, like, if Brock Lesnar's the mayor of Suplex City, Gary Albright built it. Gary Albright's suplexes were murder weapons. 350 pounds.
He founded Suplex City.
Oh my God, he was a nightmare. Just think about a big white guy, weighs 350, with lightning fast suplexes and spinal flexibility, who's built like an egg, and he's got a knife scar and Jerry curls.
Yeah.
Look him up. Gary Albright's awesome. I get him against, oh man, why am I blanking?
I have no idea.
Oh my God! This is
You're the only one that knows the answer to this question. I can't even help you out here.
The Pride Fighting Championships guy who fought Hickson Gracie. Oh my God! This is concussions, ladies and gentlemen. This is CTE. He's a legendary Japanese wrestler, and I can't believe I'm blanking.
He's a Japanese wrestler?
Yeah.
And he was in Pride?
Yeah. He's the elder statesman of Pride, and he fought on Pride 1 against Hickson.
What did he fight in wrestling that I might know?
In UWFI, and then before that he was in NJPW. Why, dude? Seriously, this is blowing my mind.
Is he still active today?
This is like forgetting Hulk Hogan. Like,
is this recent? Is he wrestling recently?
Was he the Macho Man to the Hogan that you mentioned one time?
Now this is like a game. Is it an 80s person or like someone that was more popular in the 90s?
80s guy.
80s? Okay.
Takada.
Oh, there you go.
Nobody got Takada. Yes, I apologize, Takada-san. Like, he's a legend, man. Like this is the brain slipping. I'll be building on myself 5 years from now. But yeah, Takada against Gary Albright, and that was the first time I saw. And to my uneducated eye, I thought it was a real fight at the time. Yeah. But that was like, I will always fondly remember that match for thinking, oh my God. And it introduced me to Gary Albright, who's my favorite shoot style wrestler of all time. That's awesome. Did you ever go to that Riviera Steakhouse and get one of those jackets? I went to the Riviera, but I never got a jacket, man. I guess it wasn't high profile enough. Oh, wow. I went with my good friend Humi Saito and Masahori. We all 3 went together, man. But I should have told them that I fought. You should go there now and be like, give him a picture of you like Stone Cold and be like, I'm Stone Cold. Yeah. Actually, I'll tell him I fought Funaki. That'll carry more weight in Japan. Yeah. I think you got the vest that you can borrow too. Yeah, there you go. Just walking there like, oh, Stone Cold too. But, I know, dude. I was so angry. I saw the other day that Arda Okal, who used to work for WWE. Oh, he got one? He's got one. Or screw you, Arda. How come you got one? I don't. Like, wow. Arda's the man. Shout out to Arda, great guy. Arda got to WWE and I didn't as well. I've never liked you, Arda. And he cheats at Street Fighter 2. Arda cheats at Street Fighter 2 a lot. Shame. I don't know how you say shame on you in Turkish, but that word to you. You know what? I gotta go get one now too, just for fun. And then I'm gonna send you a picture. Last but not least, so I ask everybody this, or I ask you. It's an easy question to answer, so like let it marinate for a second. Obviously, we talked like full circle about your life, from being a bouncer, from your childhood a little bit with your dad, and not knowing wrestling, but you had a friend that was into it, and everything you've done. Like at this particular time, do you like, if you would have talked to like 10-year-old Paul Lazenby, do you feel like you made your younger self proud? Do you feel like you'd be like, whoa, what a life we've lived? Absolutely. In fact, dude, I routinely do that all the time. I think it's important too. But yeah, I get choked up sometimes because this always seemed like I always wanted what I have now, and it always seemed unattainable. They had me convinced, like all the people at school and all the bullies and my old man and everybody had me convinced that you will never get that. It's like, in the old Indian caste system, they had me convinced I was an untouchable. Yeah. So it's like, oh God, if I could only like have that some kind of crazy life, like, and I got it now. So it's like, my 10-year-old self would be very inspired to like realize it's actually possible. Like you went from living in an auto body shop to like
living the dreams of
making movies,
I
right?
always, because I always say too, I'm like, it's easy when you do so, and you've done a lot of cool stuff. I've been able to do a few cool things, and Arvy, you've got to do some cool stuff now, and it's like sometimes we take it for granted, and then it's like, like you sometimes got to take a step back and be like, I'm doing something that someone else really badly would want to do right now, or like would work really hard to do, and I obviously worked really hard to get it too, but I might have. I'll joke around. So I was like, man, like I'm over going to wrestling shows. Unless I can get tickets, I'm not going to go. But then I was like, man, those people that are like spending the hard-earned money to go to a wrestling show that I'm just getting invited to go to. I'm like, I should just go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter because someone else would really love to be in this position, and my younger self would be super proud that we got to do something like that. And you have to think about that every once in a while.
You got to remind yourself, for
you got to remind yourself, like, like me 10 years ago to love the opportunity I'm getting right now. I should be grateful for it. You got to be grateful for that. So
yeah, my worst days on set now, I'll be saying like, oh, get me off this set. Like, do what? Go work at a factory like I used to? Go work like construction cleanup like I used to? No, keep me here. I'll be fine.
And we talk about that all the time because I always talk about this wrestling fast stuff and what I'm doing. And I'll tell him, and I've said it to some people, I'm like, but then sometimes I stop and think, I'm like, what else am I going to do that I'm actually gonna enjoy? Like what else am I like? There's a lot of skills that I do have, but like, what am I actually gonna do that I'm gonna enjoy? And like, I enjoy this, and I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate you guys.
Great having you.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, we're gonna go eat now and go check out the Smashing Machine. Go check out Deathstalk. I'm gonna watch it. Telling me what it was about and the history of it has got me more intrigued to go watch it.
What platform is it coming out on? Do you know?
I'm not sure yet, but it'll be on all the. It'll be easily accessible in November. But if you can, it is so much fun watching it with an audience. I went to the pre-screening that Vancouver Film Festival put on, and I went down to Austin to see the North American premiere. And like being in a room with people and watching this, it's so funny and gory and action-packed and fun. Like, if you can, see it in the theater. If not, check it out in November.
I'm gonna try to see if there isn't a theater around us because I'm down to go watch it. But you sold me on. I'm sold. I'm sold. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you coming on. We'll run it back sooner than later. We won't wait like 6 years like the last time. And we've seen each other here and there, but like we'll get you back on. You're starting your own podcast, so I'm looking forward to that because like I honestly we're already way over time. I could still talk to you. I still have a million questions. I'm intrigued by this story.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
like I can be here for like another 4 hours.
Like watch for that coming soon. When We Were Bouncers podcast, you're gonna dig it.
Yeah, they make movies on Mark Kerr and stuff. Like imagine a movie on this guy's life. The characters that would pop in and out, like it's insane. The people you worked with, the people you've shared rooms with, the people you've shared space with. Like it's things that people dream about, and it's like coming from where you came from, like you did it.
I'm a lucky son of a bitch.
Your dad's seeing you now. He's probably like, motherfucker. I appreciate you keep doing the thing, and we'll see you on next time. Yeah, bye.